And we are reading from text 18 today. Yes. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nasta Prayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Okay. Anta Purusha Rupena Kala Rupena Yobahi Samaveti Esha Sattvanam Bhagavan Atma Mayaya Anta Purusha Rupena Kala Rupena Yobahi Samanveti Esha Sattvanam Bhagavan Atma Mayaya Anta Purusha Rupena Kala Rupena Yobahi Samanveti Esha Sattvanam Bhagavan Atma Mayaya. Anta Purusha Rupena Kala Rupena Yobahi Samanveti Esha Sattvanam Bhagavan Atma Mayaya. Antarupena Kala Rupena Yobahi Samanveti Esha Sattvanam Bhagavan Atma Mayaya. Antapurusha Rupena Kala Rupena Yobahi Samanveti Esha Sattvanam Bhagavan Atma Mayaya. Okay. Anta, within. Purusha, Rupena, in the form of Supersoul. Kala Rupena, in the form of time. Ya, he who. Bahi, without. Samanveti, exists. Esha, he. Sattvanam, of all living entities. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Atma Mayaya, by his potencies. So you got the translation and the purport. By his divine grace, I see Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So, translation reads, by exhibiting his potencies, the Supreme Personality of Godhead adjusts all these different elements, keeping himself within as the Supersoul and without as time. So we can all repeat. By exhibiting his potencies, the Supreme Personality of Godhead adjusts all these different elements, keeping himself within the Supersoul and without S-time. Okay. So the purport is by Srila Prabhupada. Here it is stated that within the heart of the Supreme Personality of Godhead resides the Super Soul. Oh, that's interesting. The first sentence. Here it is stated that within the heart, I read it wrong. Within the heart, the Supreme Personality of Godhead resides the Super Soul. As the Super Soul. This situation is also explained in the Bhagavad Gita. The Super Soul rests beside the individual soul and acts as a witness. I will read that part of the Bhagavad Gita and give you the reference where this is taken out of. So, in the Bhagavad Gita, the Super Soul rests beside the individual soul and acts as a witness. This is also confirmed elsewhere in the Vedic literature. Two birds are sitting on the same tree of the body. One is witnessing and the other is eating the fruits of the tree. Sitting on the same tree of the body, one is witnessing and the other one is eating the fruits of the tree. This Purusha or Paramatma who resides within the body of the individual soul is described in the Bhagavad Gita 13.23. That's the one that I will read later. As the Upadrashta witness and the Anumanta sanctioning authority. The conditioned soul engages in the happiness and distress of the particular body given him by the arrangement of the external energy of the Supreme Lord. But the Supreme Living Being or the Paramatma is different from the conditioned soul. He is described in the Bhagavad Gita as Maheshwara or the Supreme Lord. He is Paramatma, not Jivatma. Paramatma means the Super Soul, who is sitting by the side of the conditioned soul just to sanction his activities. What does sanction mean? Because the Paramatma is sitting beside the Super Soul, and he's sitting beside the Super Soul to sanction his activities. So what does that sanction mean? To sanction his activities? Yes, basically giving permission. That you can, yes or no, you can do this, or no, you can't do that. So that is, if you are wondering why you do certain things and why you don't do certain things, it comes as a witness from the Super Soul within you, but he also sanctions it. Like for example, I'll just give a little bit of break there and to talk about it. Normally, a person wouldn't do an activity. Let's choose a certain activity that they normally wouldn't do. What is an activity that they won't normally do? They will bump somebody with a car. But normally, actually nobody would deliberately bump anybody with a car. But just to give an example, sanction is activity. Maybe Krishna will be within the Super Soul and guide this person to bump this particular person with a car, just so that this person may be prevented from doing something disastrous. So by the arrangement of Lord Krishna, maybe somebody has been bumped off by the car, unintentionally, obviously by the doer, by the person who bumps the person, or commits that activity. But by the sanction of Lord Krishna, it happens. Or maybe it was part of his karma or something like that. So there is a certain sanction by the Paramatma who drives the soul, the person, to do certain activities and not do certain activities. The conditioned soul comes to this material world in order to lord it over material nature. So if you want to know what you are doing here, you are here to enjoy the material nature. Actually, Kapila Dev, in his book, Teachings of Kapila Dev, when in the book that's written there, it describes the Sankhya philosophy. So, Sankhya philosophy, what we are reading right now, what he's talking to his mother all about, is basically about the material nature. It is really analyzing the material nature and then making a conclusion that we don't belong in the material nature, on the material world. We are spiritual souls, and we're supposed to be spiritual beings and attain our spiritual body. And if you really read the Sankhya philosophy or read follow Kapila Dev, you will understand this. Right now we are actually analyzing the material nature, this part of Srimad Bhagavatam. But in a class just the other day, my spiritual master had just mentioned, Kapila Dev really analyzes, it's all about the material nature, the part of the Sankhya philosophy. Once you assimilate all of that, then you become Krishna conscious, you become spiritualized, and then you start practicing it, then your life becomes successful, you attain a spiritual nature, spiritual body, spiritual world. So, but first of all, we need the knowledge of what is exactly material nature, what it does. Well, it's a bad thing actually. We're here to enjoy the material nature, but really it is temporary. So you might have experienced in your life something is happening and you're really having great fun. It's huge fun. Life is awesome at that time. And then all of a sudden it stops. Something happens and comes to all good things. They say all good things come to an end. But that's the nature, material nature. Everything is temporary. And actually everything, there's a duality in this material nature as well. Duality means there's good and there's bad. There's not always good and there's not always bad. Where there's a, let's say, where there's a debit, there's a credit in accounting terms. Where there's life, there's also death. So that's duality. This material nature has duality. But this kind of duality is not present in the spiritual world. And this kind of temporariness, where in the spiritual world it doesn't happen over there. In the spiritual world, there is eternal bliss. Everyone's having fun all the time. Everybody's happy all the time. It doesn't really stop. It doesn't stop. There are no incidences to stop it. The bliss is eternal. The knowledge is eternal. So that's why a lot of us, when we come down to enjoy, so-called enjoy the material nature, we often get disillusioned. We get disillusioned means we get disappointed. Something bad's happening. And there are also others who will observe somebody else having the fun of the material nature, and they aspire to enjoy the same thing. It's just human nature. Let me have that car. Let me have that, whatever it is, however much money they have in the bank account. I want that. Unfortunately, neither the person who's having the huge balance in his bank account is enjoying it eternally, neither the person who doesn't have it. So nobody really enjoys it permanently. Although there's a marginal difference. The person with a huge bank balance does enjoy certain luxuries, but that's also temporary. There was somebody who was going to win $1 million, and they said, oh, winning $1 million is also inheriting $1 million problems. It comes with these problems. So that's material nature. And once we realize the nature of material life, then we there has to be something better. There has to be a way out. There's got to be something that's going to make us happier than what we are in now. Man with $1 million is not having fun. The man without the $1 million is not having fun. So where is the fun coming from, and where can we get the eternal fun? And that's when we come to realize, oh, there's a God. And so we start looking for God. And then we try to find some bona fide, some authoritative books and information about God. And as a result, we stumble upon many isms. So I'm going to read a little bit about what Prabhupada said about these isms, this religion, that religion. And we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, what Srimad Bhagavatam has decided upon all the other religions. He's given a commentary, and I'll read it, a little bit of it. It's quite interesting. Anyway, the conclusion is then we come to see who is God. So in your opinion, I'm asking, in your opinion, who is God? Who is God? Nobody knows. Who is God? Yeah, he's got all the opulences. You recognize him, so those are his qualities. But right now, who are we worshipping? Who is God? Who do we think is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? A 15-year-old blue boy, correct. Yeah, that's the answer. A 15-year-old blue boy. Who's the 15-year-old blue boy? What's his name? His name is Krishna. Yeah. That's what we're looking for. So then, after stumbling on the temporariness nature, material nature, then we come to the books, we read, we listen to different isms, from this ism to that ism. We finally stumble across everything and finally come to a point where we realize, it's that blue boy. It's that Krishna. He's God. He's the one we're looking for. And He's the one who's going to give us a way out so that we can stop being so miserable in this world, which is temporary, full of dualities, good and bad. He's going to show us a way out so we can actually enjoy a place where there is no duality, there's no misery. And then we start practicing. And we think, okay, well, there's the blue boy. And what has he told us to do? What can we do to get out of here? What is it that we can do? So then there's a whole bunch of stuff that you read, and then you come to this conclusion, I have become a devotee. I'm Krishna conscious. Yes. And then, I can make it out of here. And that's really the correct way, the correct path. So Kapila Dev here is telling his mother all this information which we are reading in the Srimad Bhagavatam, given to us mercifully by Srila Prabhupada and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that's what we are reading today. So let's continue from where we were. Since one cannot do anything without the sanction of the Supreme Lord. Wow. One cannot do anything without the sanction of the Supreme Lord. He lives with the Jiva soul as a witness and the sanction giver. He is also Bhokta. He gives maintenance and sustenance to the conditioned soul. Since the living entity is constitutionally part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord is very affectionate to the living entities. So if you want to know if Lord Krishna loves you, it's written right here in black and white. The Lord is very affectionate to the living entities. You are a living entity, I am a living entity, everyone's a living entity, and the Lord is very affectionate to the living entities. Unfortunately, when the living entity is bewildered or illusioned by the external energy, he becomes forgetful of his eternal relationship with the Lord. But as soon as he becomes aware of his constitutional position, he is liberated. The minute independence of the conditioned soul is exhibited by his marginal position. If he likes, he can forget the Supreme Personality of Godhead and come into the material existence with a false ego to lord it over material nature. So if you want to know what you are doing here, why you are here, it's because we have a minute independence that we used to forget the Lord, really. We forgot the Supreme Personality of Godhead and then came into material existence or came into the material world, and we came with a false ego to lord it over material nature, to enjoy material nature. But if he likes, he can turn his face to the service of the Lord. So with that minute conditioning or independence of the soul, we can actually turn it around and we can turn to Krishna. So we can turn things around right now. The individual living entity is given that independence. His conditional life is ended and his life becomes successful as soon as he turns his face to the Lord. But by misusing his independence, he enters into the material existence. Yet the Lord is so kind that the super soul, he always remains with the conditioned soul. Yeah, that's the plus point. You are not alone. You are never alone. You're not alone and you're never alone. Why? Because the Paramatma is always there with you, the conditioned soul. So if you hear somebody ever, praying to Lord Krishna and say, I'm all alone today, I feel all alone, you shouldn't really be feeling all alone, because it's written right here in the Vedic scriptures in black and white that the Paramatma, being very kind to the individual souls, has situated himself right beside the soul, right beside you. So you really are not alone. And he really sanctions what you can do and what you cannot do. So he will basically, there are often there are many times when people say, what should I do? Or, I'm in this situation. It doesn't have to be too serious, whatever the situation. And then the person they're talking to is a God-conscious person, Krishna-conscious person. They will advise, don't worry, God will guide you. Krishna will guide you. Don't worry. Of course, he will guide you because he is the super soul within you and he sanctions you. Your activities. He tells you what you can do, what you can't do. He guides you from within. And Srila Prabhupada in his class, which I was going to read, I'm just going to jump ahead and give you that information. Srila Prabhupada was saying, Krishna is also the Guru, Chaitya Guru. Chaitya Guru means the Guru within. So he even becomes the Guru. And he guides you from within, which is really interesting. And so how do you connect with the Chaitya Guru within you, or yourself? Is do something that Arjun did in the Mahabharata, in the Bhagavad Gita. The photo is right there, and he's begging Krishna with his, folded palms, and Krishna is standing there. So you can see in that picture there. What is Arjun doing? He is putting his palms together and saying, you are no longer my friend, Krishna, no longer my cousin at the moment. You are my Guru. I'm your disciple. Please instruct me. And that's what we do. If we want to connect with the Chaitya Guru within us, we say to Krishna exactly what Arjun said to Krishna. You say to Krishna, whatever I may be your daughter, I may be your son, I may be your mother, your father, in the relationship, or whatever, you may be my Lord, I might be your someone who worships you, your devotee, but right now, I'm your disciple, and you are my Guru. So please instruct me. So you can do that. And once you do that, you surrender to Krishna. It is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. If I find the reference, I'll give it to you. I have it in my class today that I've got in my phone. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that once you have become the disciple or have surrendered in that way, then you can absorb the knowledge from the Guru within, Chaitya Guru. So you have to accept Krishna from within you in order to be able to get his instructions, which is what Devahuti did here. It's a perfect example because we are reading about Devahuti. Devahuti's son is Lord Kapiladev, who is Lord Krishna incarnated. She says to Kapiladev, you are my son, but right now I'm your disciple, you are my Guru, please instruct me. And that's, as soon as she says that, then Krishna, in the form of Kapiladev, gives us this whole Sankhya philosophy that we are reading today to deliver us. So you've got to be, surrendered enough in order to accept those instructions, which Devahuti has just done, Arjun has just done, and we are all going to be doing the same thing. Okay, so where did I leave off? He always remains with the conditioned soul. The concern of the Lord is neither to enjoy nor to suffer from the material body. He remains with the jiva simply as sanction giver and witness, so that the living entity can receive the results of his activities, good or bad. So when I say that the super soul is within you, what do I really mean? Is Lord Krishna? Because I asked that question to my own spiritual master. I said, if Krishna is within you, your body is full of your veins, your flesh, blood. The soul is there. The super soul, how is the super soul? It didn't really click with me. How is he present there? In a place that's so dirty. It's full of blood and God knows what other things are there. It's in the heart. So I said, how is then Krishna present there in such a not so clean place, The soul, okay, we are residing there. So the answer from my spiritual master was that Krishna is in the form of something like a hologram. Do you know hologram? It's like a reflection of the real thing. So he's like there, like a hologram inside you. So he's not really there in a solid form or anything like that. I mean, Krishna, he can assume any form, any body, even in a picture. If you pray to Lord Krishna in a picture, in a photo frame, he will be present there. He can appear in his photos. And you will see many times, devotees will tell you, I was looking at this picture and suddenly there was a movement in the picture. It's happened to me. I was looking at Yashoda Mai holding Lord Krishna, the baby, at Krishna Kalya temple in Dotoka, Fiji. And I was offering my prayers. Krishna looks such a beautiful baby in Yashoda Mai's photo frame. And all of a sudden Yashoda Mai just grabbed Krishna like this and pulled him away. And I was like shocked. It was a photo and suddenly became animated. But the animation of why is she pulling Krishna away from me? I was thinking. I didn't do anything. I was just offering my prayers. That was really like a shock and a jolt. I'm rejected by Yashoda Mai. But that wasn't it, because later on I read the story about Lord Shiva, who went to see Lord Krishna, and Yashoda Mai was holding the baby at the door. And because Lord Krishna was attacked by so many demons right from babyhood, from Putna to so many demons, she was so hesitant, and Lord Shiva came in his form of sadhu or whatever. She saw his form and was scared and wouldn't let him see her baby. So she pulled the baby away from him. No, you cannot come near my baby. So it was that pastime that I had actually was seeing later on. So it wasn't really me. It wasn't really me as such, but devotees kind of experience that Krishna can even be present in his picture, not just the deity. He has promised that he'll be in his deity in this life. I mean in Kali Yuga. So if you want to see Krishna, go to a deity. He's also promised that he'll be present in the holy names. So he'll be present in sound. So chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, he's there. But he can be present in any form, including the Paramatma within you, which is like a hologram. Sorry, I'm talking a little bit fast. I'm trying to finish this so I can give you a few more readings from there. So, outside the body of the conditioned soul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead remains as the time factor. Wow. So this is the meaning of being within and without. So within you is the Paramatma. Outside of you is present as time factor. Time. Anyway, Janananda Maharaj was here the other day, and there was this initiation happening, and the devotees were offering their obeisances, and there's a sign right there on the altar that says, please do not show your back to the altar. It's correct, actually, we shouldn't. And so he was sitting and saying, well, okay, so don't point towards the altar, your back. So you are offering obeisances and you've got your back towards the clock. And he made a little joke. And he said, well, in the Bhagavad Gita, he said, time I am. And the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's got the time factor, it's Krishna. So you've got your back towards the clock. So you've got the back towards time. He made a little joke. So according to the Sankhya system, which is what Kapila Dev is preaching here, Sankhya system of philosophy, there are 25 elements. The 24 elements already described, plus the time factor makes it 25. According to some learned philosophers, the supersoul is included to make 26 elements. So we are saying the supersoul is a 26th element, and the time factor is the 24th, and then there's the other 23. So I'll quickly read you the part, because I did say that I'll give you the reference to where it is described in the Bhagavad Gita that the supersoul and the Paramatma are together in here, in your heart, like two birds. And Lord Krishna says so himself. So the reference for that part of the Bhagavad Gita is basically 13.23. Bhagavad Gita 13.23. And I'll just read you the translation quickly of that particular shlok. He says, yet in this body, there is another a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, which is what we are talking about, sanction, the overseer and the permitter, and who is known as the super soul. So that's your reference. And I wanted to read to you what Srila Prabhupada had said about, what was it about? When he had actually gone to America, and he had actually tried to disclose this information about this philosophy. And I'm just going to, sorry, I have to scroll through everything. So many things I have written here and got which I said was interesting. What was it that I had said that was interesting? Something about what Srila Prabhupada had said. Does anybody remember? No? Okay. Pardon? Yes, Krishna is the Chaitya Guru, correct. Okay, let me find that place. There's so many places. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Here. Krishna says, and Arjun says, that Krishna, no more friendly talking. This is Srila Prabhupada I'm quoting from. No more friendly talking. I agree to become your disciple. So when he agreed to become the disciple of Krishna, then he explained the Bhagavad Gita straight away. Then that's when we get the Bhagavad Gita. Actually, then Prabhupada says, actually one should not explain the Bhagavad Gita or any Vedic literature unless one is agreed to become a disciple. But he says, the devotees, which is devotees of Lord Krishna, are so kind that they preach even amongst the non-disciples, just to take them to Krishna consciousness. So you will find that there is nobody more kinder than a devotee, because they are willing to break those rules, actually. So unless, it says here, he said it himself, he said, otherwise, according to the law, where did it go? Otherwise, according to law, one should not speak beyond the jurisdiction of his disciple, because they will not understand. Basically, that's the reason. They will not understand. They will not follow the rules and regulations, so how will they understand the rules and regulations? So then Prabhupada says, gives on what are rules and regulations, but Krishna says, Yesham tu anta gatam papam. One who is completely free from all kinds of activities, sinful activities. Free from all kinds of sinful activities, that is the primary qualification to understand Krishna and understand the Bhagavad Gita. So, unless one comes to this position, there is no possibility of Krishna consciousness. So how come, Prabhupada has this idea, how will outsiders accept our philosophy, he was saying. And the Bhagavad Gita reference he gave was chapter 7.28, if we read that. Yesham artva anta gatam papam. Unless one is freed from sinful activities, then one can understand Krishna consciousness. So he said, anyone who comes to, then this is what Prabhupada says, anyone who comes to become my disciple, Prabhupada's disciple, this is my first proposal. If you agree, then you come. If you agree. It is not that you can do anything nonsense you like. You become my disciple. No, because one cannot understand Krishna unless he is restricted from sinful activities. And these sinful activities are the basic principles. No illicit sex life, no meat eating, no gambling, and no intoxication. The 4 pillars. These are the 4 pillars of sinful life. I'm quoting directly from Srila Prabhupada. These are the 4 pillars of sinful life, and the whole world is addicted to these 4 things. The whole world. So we have to push on Krishna consciousness with great difficulty. And this is the interesting part that I really wanted to read to you, because Prabhupada here speaks about it himself. His experience in America. Prabhupada said, when I went to America, I went by ship. So he's talking to his listeners. When I went to America, I went by ship. So it stopped at, what is that? Commonwealth Pier. Commonwealth Pier in Boston. So that's where he stopped. Commonwealth Pier in Boston. And Prabhupada says, so I was thinking that if I said that no illicit sex, no meat eating, and no intoxication, and no gambling, so these people immediately will say, please go home. That's what Prabhupada's experience was. As soon as he stepped foot in Boston, and he was thinking, if I tell these people about the 4 regulative principles, they'll immediately tell me to go home. So he says, that's the position. These are their daily affairs. If you want to make them stop these things, they will think that this man is lunatic. And so many of our preachers, when they go out and they try to spread the word of Krishna consciousness, that's the same thing they find. Even if we talk to somebody at work and your own family and say, well, we can't eat meat or we can't do this, they'll say, oh, you're crazy. You're a lunatic. Even at work, they'll say, well, how do you live? I mean, I've come across that personally myself. My workmates have said, well, if you can't drink, if you can't eat meat, then what is it that you eat and what is it that you drink? And you can't take intoxication, you don't have boyfriends and girlfriends. I mean, how do you live? That's how we live. And that's what Srila Prabhupada said. The whole world is addicted to these things, so it's really difficult. But then he continues, by Krishna's grace, these boys and these girls in America, by Krishna's grace, they agreed to follow those 4 regulative principles. They agreed with Srila Prabhupada. They didn't say to Prabhupada that you are a lunatic. And Prabhupada is saying, by Krishna's grace, these boys, these girls, they agreed. That is Krishna's grace. I did not expect that they will agree. In India, they do not agree. So he had problems in India. This is Srila Prabhupada's words. In India, they do not agree. And they are accustomed from childhood to boyhood, from boyhood. So how they will, but by Krishna's grace, it's so nice. Krishna's grace is so nice. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is so great that they agreed. And this is another thing. He's saying they are pushing on this movement, on this principle. Who are they? They are the boys and girls. So if you come across this controversy in ISKCON to say, well, only boys can preach, or only boys can be, males, can be gurus. No, Srila Prabhupada said right here, it's quoted, my boys and my girls, they are pushing this movement together. It is not a one-sided movement, it is a balanced movement. So you can have a Mataji sitting here, you can have a Prabhuji sitting here, preaching, giving classes, being a guru, everything is equal. This is Srila Prabhupada's mood. And it really shouldn't be changed, you should stick to his mood. He was very merciful to both. And he says this here. He says, so why? This is due to the grace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Patita Pavan. He can deliver Jagai in Madai. And so what is this process by deliverance? We know. What is that phrase? Hari Nama, Hari Nama, Hari Nama eva kevalam. Kalau nastiva, nastieva, nastieva, gatir anyatha. That's some Chaitanya Charimrita, Adi Lila 17.21. And it's quoted here by Srila Prabhupada. He says, if people are simply induced to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, just see, even a child is taking part. It is natural. There is no distinction between black and white if you chant. So it's a little bit about the controversy about someone is black, someone's white. He says there is no distinction between black and white, no question of language, nothing. You see, practically, there is a white child, a black child. They do not know how to speak, but they are dancing and chanting. And so this movement is so important. Somehow or other, if you can engage them in chanting, so he's requesting each one of us, Prabhupada is requesting each one of us. Somehow or other, if you can engage them in chanting and dancing, the whole world will be united. That was Srila Prabhupada's vision. The whole world will be united. And then he goes on to say, what the United Nations has failed, this movement can do. This movement can do. But then Srila Prabhupada also mentions something a little bit serious. He says, if this movement can do, if this is not checked by rascals. But the rascals are ready to check this movement. That is the difficulty. So even in the days, what to speak of now, because I'm going to speak a little bit about difficulties. Even in Prabhupada's days, there were rascals who were trying to stop his movement and uniting the world. Even somebody humble like myself, giving a class here only yesterday, somebody said to me, your classes are bad. Or were bad. And somebody said the Fiji Indians told her, or him. But then she retracted and said, no, but your classes are better now. And not only that, the fact that I come to Mangal Aarti is also bad. And so there are people in the movement, a devotee said that to me, and it's truth. He said it was right in front of Lord Krishna, that I come to Mangal Aarti and I give classes and it's all bad. And it's a disgusting habit. I was thinking that this is how rascals discourage, even from the point, this is my humble position, so it doesn't really matter, it doesn't affect me at all. We have to give our service, we have to come to Mangal Aarti, we have to come to programs, we have to practice our sadhana, we have to follow the 4 regulative principles, so we have to do all those things. So it should not be a stumbling block to stop somebody from giving class or coming to Mangal Aarti or coming to any programs. Should not deter you. But there are rascals within even the movement who will try, instead of to encourage somebody, discourage them so badly that they will not show up for their service or feel really bad. But I kind of laughed at their statement. They were seriously telling me, and I was like laughing at the statement. And here Srila Prabhupada is also saying, in the bigger picture, the movement, unless, if it is checked by rascals, then this movement will not go. So if you are facing somebody or something like that, some blockages or people stopping you or discouraging you, don't let it affect you. From the person in your family to people at work, to somebody in the temple, to somebody outside, and to the movement as a whole, in the bigger picture, or somebody stopping ladies from being gurus. These are all these blockages that stops our movement from being, to carry forward. And I'm saying that in good faith, without blaspheming anybody, that even in Prabhupada's days, there were rascals who were trying to stop the movement, who were trying to stop the services, to the point that even yesterday I had somebody, and I was like laughing because I thought that's funny. But this particular person had said to another uninitiated Mataji who was giving class, how come you got a class and I didn't, I'm Brahmin initiated. So then I could understand that this person was wanting our seva but wasn't getting it. But the thing is that you have got to chant without offenses. That, those 10 offenses, one of them, the very first offense, is not to blaspheme devotees who have dedicated their lives to preaching the holy names of the Lord. I've basically given my entire life. From the days, not entire, after university, I dedicated everything to Lord Krishna. Followed my Guru's instructions. So somebody who does that, and then we recite the 10 offenses. So we shouldn't really blasphemy devotees who are practicing like that outright to their faces and discourage them, because that means that they are chanting with offenses. The first offense, blaspheming somebody, criticizing somebody, or trying to stop our movement, or stopping ladies from being, gurus or giving classes. Or it can be everybody. I'm not just pointing at myself, but we need to be able to chant without offenses. We need to be able to chant without blaspheming somebody, stopping somebody, without criticizing somebody. Once we do that, once we achieve that, then we chant and we become better people, we become better devotees. And the seva that you wanted, as giving class or whatever it is that you wanted, you will automatically get it. Krishna Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, will allocate this simple seva service that you want or need. Once the chanting improves or once your offenses are reduced, That was the point. So being somebody who can preach or has been reading this knowledge and the Srimad Bhagavatam, then you come to realize that this person is in the progress of spiritual progress. So there'd be others who are maybe in a worse condition, but they are all in a like a progressive condition. So then maybe in 5 years' time, they won't be criticizing or they won't be offending, but they will gradually progress. So whatever your stage is, please endeavor to become better and better in your devotion service, devotional life, in your chanting, in checking out those invoices. Make sure that you don't commit those offenses. And there was one last point which I wanted to point out. What does Srimad Bhagavatam do with all the religions, other religions? Is Srimad Bhagavatam that we are reading from has basically removed or eradicated all the religions that promote these things. That makes it what Prabhupada had quoted, which I didn't read to you, was Dushkritana, which means dushts, which means sinful people, who are creating religions and rules which are contrary to the 4 regulative principles, to whatever Krishna has preached in the Bhagavad Gita, basically to make life miserable. And the example that Prabhupada had given was the atom bomb. In those days, he said people are using scientific knowledge instead of making life better. They're making death better by creating atom bombs. A person who's supposed to live till 60, you blast the atom bomb and they die at 20. So instead of making life longer, prolonging life, they use this scientific knowledge to create death instead of creating life. So all these religions that promote these things, he was saying, those isms, whatever isms they are, Srimad Bhagavatam basically removes all that and teaches us about life, about how to get everlasting life with Lord Krishna. Become Krishna conscious so you can live in your spiritual world forever, not just die suddenly and commit murders and killings and stop the movement or stop people from being devotees or being servants of Lord Krishna. Discourage them. So all these things are discouraged. So people who are striving to become better and better must read the Srimad Bhagavatam. It has got the best of teachings. It is known as the king of all Vedic Shastras. It's priceless. So that ends our class for today. Thank you for listening. Is there any question or any comments? Are there? Yes. Yep.
Just referring to the last line of Srila Prabhupada mentioned that according to some learned philosophers,
Yeah.
the super soul is included to make a total of 26 elements.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering, is this like a qualified people we're talking about? Because Sankhya philosophy says, Kapiladeva says there are 25 elements. Time is the last one.
Yeah.
There is no mention of super soul or even soul in the 25 elements.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if this is qualified, we should go with it.
Okay. So
Interestingly, there is not even soul is mentioned in Kapiladeva's 25 elements.
yes, actually that is right. So the question is that in the last line, the last sentence of the purport, Prabhupada says, according to some learned philosophers, the super soul is included to make a total of 26 elements. And there isn't anything mentioned by Lord Kapila there. Actually, I haven't come across any Vedic scriptures also that included the super soul as one of the elements. I haven't. No. I haven't. So I don't know who these learned philosophers Prabhupada is referring to, because he did not name them here. But as far as my readings, my experience in my reading, I have not come across, not even in the Bhagavad Gita, the elements are described there. 24, even the nectar of devotion, when we read that, I did not come across that super soul is one of the elements. Yeah, I did not. But Srila Prabhupada says some learned philosophers. So I'm not sure who he is referring to. Yeah.
And also the translation, it says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead adjusts all these different elements. What does adjust
Okay. Yeah, so the question is, in the translation, it says, by exhibiting his potencies, the Supreme Personality of Godhead adjusts all these different elements. So what is meant by adjusting these different elements? So when I was listening to Srila Prabhupada's class, he did mention something. He said, in Mayavadi philosophy, that is not really actual spiritual philosophy that Lord Krishna imbibes within us. He said they're saying God is here, God is there, God is everywhere. It's like the Mayavadis say, it's like you take a piece of something, you break it up, and you put it everywhere, and so that thing becomes in broken pieces, the original is not there. So that is not the case with Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna remains in Goloka Vrindavan, but then he adjusts himself, or he expands himself, that whatever elements, as a super soul, as Lord Kapiladev, as Ram, as Lord Narsingha, Vaman. He's created all these things. And unlike that piece of thing that we break and put everywhere, that is broken, the original is not there. That's not so with Krishna. He may have divided himself so many parts, so many manifestations, yet he still remains one. And that's what this is saying, adjusting the elements as far as I can tell. He said, it's like the sun is there and the rays are placed everywhere, yet the sun remains whole. It doesn't lose its heat or its light. It stays where it is. So that is what it says, they adjust the elements, means Krishna adjusts the elements so that he can be present everywhere, yet he is still the same in its original form, unchanged. That is my understanding. Okay, any other questions? No? One more? Yes.
Because the conditioned souls or the souls
Yes.
lording over nature
Mhm.
actually fell down. But he interestingly mentioned that as soon as he becomes aware of his constitutional position, which is Jiva Swarupa,
Mhm.
he is liberated.
Mhm.
So does it mean that, like, I mean, we all realize that we are part and parcel.
Mhm.
Does it mean that we are all liberated? Is that one thing?
Okay, so that's a good question. Yeah, so it's Prabhupada says in his purport that, we are fallen because we have decided to lord over the material nature. But once we realize that we are the Jiva soul, part and parcel of Krishna, then we get liberated. So right now we have realized we are the soul. Does that mean we are liberated? Not exactly. I had that same question with my spiritual master, because I was actually talking about Maya, because there's Yoga Maya, there's Maha Maya. There's all kinds of Maya. So, well, two types of Maya generally. So I said, which kind of Maya am I in? Am I in Yoga Maya? Then am I liberated? He said, no, you're not there yet. Then I said, well, then am I in Maya? Then I would be in another Maya, illusion. And Gurudev's answer was, I hope not. Because if you are in Maya, then you are in total Maya. I mean, that means you are doing material things. You are not spiritual. So then where does that leave me? I'm not in spiritual world. But I've realized that I'm practicing Krishna consciousness. So I'm in between, marginal. So we are not really liberated yet, but we could be. I mean, we have realized that. But fully liberated will be upon our death, where we go after that. So we are kind of marginal from my guru's answer.